Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Firstly, just wanted to say big apologies for the other week. I was feeling pretty horrible, and a really good reminder to always listen to your body. So what I was going to speak about, and what I want to speak about today, is the topic of maintaining momentum. So really close to me and the guys at the moment, because we are struggling a little bit, and we're trying to get that momentum back. So important to understand whether you see it, the Arabella team, the Angelo's team, Tom's, all of these guys are working hard every day to keep momentum. So it's not something you just have and you'll get forever. You've got to continually work on it every day. So, momentum is one of those things that there's real momentum, which I'll talk about today and how you actually achieve that. And then there's the artificial momentum, which sometimes you can get into the trap of thinking you were in, but it's more of, I wouldn't say luck, but you get on a good run rather than actually building long-term sustainable momentum. So the first thing I just want to talk about is, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'll send out the slides, is the idea of building a really strong foundation from day one. So to grab really strong, long-term sustainable momentum, you need to have a foundation which will see you through the ups and downs, because real estate really is cyclical, if that's the word. It's a bit of an up and down motion. So, sometimes you're on top, sometimes you're on the bottom, but you need to have a structure and foundation which is going to see you through the long term. So the things that I've built my business on, rather than just hoping we'll just meet someone at an open and that will lead to the next listing and the next listing, I can wake up in the morning and feel really, really comfortable knowing that doesn't matter what happens, there should be some business coming in the background. So the things that I've built my business on to begin with is service area was always number one. So I felt that if I could build an area that, whether the market was strong, it wasn't strong, whether for whatever reason I was getting a lot of referrals at that time, I could have a very consistent business that would continually bring in listings. And all that other stuff is fantastic. But I think the anxiety of real estate sometimes comes down to where's the next listing going to come from. So if you have a strong foundation, and service area was one of those things that I could really build a good business on. So service area was one. Obviously, the past clients and the personal brand came later. So it was really just working on that database, building a fantastic database, doing my 20, 30, 40 calls a day, because I know that would pump out a certain amount of listings each month as well. So once you get to that consistent foundation, whether that is service area, a really strong database, or a really strong referral network, whatever it is for you, you can feel comfortable. All that other stuff is fantastic. And then it does start coming to you and you start building that long-term momentum. So that was number one. Next thing is, once you've done that, it's really important. You need to look after people. Like I've said here, you need to service clients like they're a celebrity, because it's so easy for people not to refer you on if you didn't do an incredible job. So I wanted to be able to have a business where people were talking about me in the community. And when they talked about me, there was only one thing they would say, and it's Simon Noakes and his team is unbelievably great to deal with. Because it only takes one bad person out there to be infecting the community and talking bad words about you. So the first thing was buyer, seller, tenant, anybody around. We've really worked hard on making sure everyone has only good things to say about myself and the Noakes team. Over communicate. So, we used to work at another company and fantastic small business, but the agent there I used to work for would very rarely call his clients, and I could tell there was anxiety on the other side. So then I made a decision that I wanted to call my clients every day, twice a day. Give them so much communication that they never have to call you. And I think that's really, if you look on realestate.com under our reviews, communication is always a great foundation, and that's what people want. They want communication. They want to feel like you as the agent are always in control. So that was really important. Defining the brand is really important. So from day one, whatever you are, whether you're Arabella and you are the queen of the hills, and it doesn't matter what a luxury property comes up in the hills, you call Arabella. Tom Hector, He's the guy if you want to sell a house in Ross Trevor by auction. For me, it was, I wanted to make sure everybody knew if you deal with Simon Noakes and the Noakes team, they will work harder than anybody else. You know, we'll be there Saturday, we'll be there Sunday, we'll be in the offer at 6 a.m, we'll be working till 8, 9 o'clock at night. If we need to run a contract out at Friday at 7 o'clock, we will do it. So I really built my business on the energy of absolutely nobody will work harder than us. And then when I was in a listing appointment, I could communicate that to people. And people could feel that energy and authenticity. But for you, it doesn't matter what it is, but you need to build a long-term brand around yourself and what you define. So that's about being a specialist, not a generalist. The other thing is, I think it's really important to market your success, but with humility. No one wants this, 400 grand over the reserve price, we're making so much money bullshit. That's very ego-based and it's all about you as the agent. Whereas if you market yourself in a way where you're appreciative of the buyers, the sellers, your clients, and the opportunities that you're getting, people want to get on the bandwagon of your support. But if it's all about you, people will be, there's not going to be good energy around it, and people won't want to get on your bandwagon. So I think that's really important. So number 3 was about scaling up. So momentum will last for so long until you can't really support the business that you have because you're just overworked. You've got too much admin to do. You don't have time to do all those prospecting calls. You're just not going to be able to support a long-term momentum business if you don't scale up. So I heard from Josh Fegan the idea that if you write 30K 3 months in a row, you employ your first PA. As soon as I did it, I did not think, I employed Callan. As soon as you write 60K 3 months in a row, employ your second team member. I employed Erin. Write, and it was 100 3 months in a row, employ your third. And that's when I think it was James at the time came on board. So I think with employing people and growth, one of the things that is tricky is you can always get in your head. Whereas if you just stick to that formula, if you're doing that consistently, just do it, because you will never be able to build long-term momentum if you don't have support around you and a great team. So that was really important. Number 4, tracking numbers obsessively. So did this in day 1 of real estate. And I remember when I used to work for Lockie Turner, he said to me, if you want to be successful in real estate, it's not about being, liking houses, liking people. It's about being obsessive about chasing numbers. And it was probably one of the most profound things I've ever heard, and still rings true today, because it really is about the numbers. If you're not obsessed with growth and numbers, it's hard to really have that long-term sustainable growth. So daily KPIs we track on Airtable, weekly goals, connects, appraisals, listings, what we're doing with fees, weekly review of the numbers, monthly review of the numbers. Always constantly as a team, we're asking our questions around, are we on track or are we off track? I want to know if we're on track, great, let's push our targets higher. If we're off track, then we need to keep pushing. And what do we need to do to get back on track? So if you don't know your numbers intimately, you'll never know when you need to switch gears and get back on track. So that was really important in terms of just building that momentum long term. Next one, adapting your structure as you grow. So what I found in real estate is what works for your day 1 with your diary is not going to work for you, in year 5 for your diary. As you grow, you'll scale different things. You'll have family. You'll have different things that you need to prioritize. So, but always I've been obsessive about my diary. I reckon I change it around just about like every few months. I'm just trying to work out what's going to be able to structure my diary best to be able to do 2 things, which is making as many calls as possible. So I need to make sure I protect my prospecting time, and not just prospecting time. I don't want to waste time during the day. I don't want to have prospecting till 8 and 12:30, which I do every day, but then an appointment at 2, and then or 2 or 3, and then nothing the rest of the day, and you're kind of out, then you're in the office. It's just awkward. I prefer to have one appointment at 6 o'clock or 5:30, and then use the whole day in the office, smash out as many calls as possible. So constantly I'm thinking when I'm booking appointments with my diary is, how do I make as many calls as possible that day, and how do I do as many appointments as possible? So that's really important. For everyone's going to be different, but don't just be ad hoc with your diary. Be really, really critical of how you can maximise that 6 or 7 days of the week. Next thing is, which kind of follows on for that, is making the prospecting the oxygen. I've spoken about it before, and I truly think that it is a very difficult business if you don't build it around calling, past clients, prospecting people. So, I always think in my head, and this is one of the things that I think has helped my momentum last long term. There's hustle business, and then there's momentum business. And what does that mean? Is hustle business is business that, without the grind, the grit, the engaging at the open home and giving world-class service, following up a call on a Monday and asking the right questions, getting in the door at the right time, listing it when you may not have got the opportunity, probably wouldn't have got the opportunity, following up someone for 18 months and getting that listing. That is hustle business. Now, momentum business is things that are free kicks, or they're things that, you're going to get anyway. Someone's going to refer you, a past client's going to call you back. But you don't want to sit around the office and just waiting for that. So, if I did, I'd get super anxiety because I'd be thinking, shit, when's the phone going to ring? Whereas every day we're proactive, we're in control of our destiny. So that's really important. So you want to create a business where you're totally in control of your success. Don't walk in one day and think, fuck, where's the business? You should have absolute control of whether you're slow, whether you're busy. Building great systems that allow you to protect and continue even when you're busy. Yeah. So it's really important that, and I watch as people grow. I look at Callan at the moment. He's obviously in that growing pains where he's starting to list a lot of properties, and he's got Jordan helping him, who's fantastic. But Callan's now getting to a point where he's getting really busy, and he might have 3-4 auctions on. Is he still doing his 35 calls every day? And it's that balance of continuing to make those calls, even if you have 6 auctions on, and when you're quiet, still making those calls. Because there's no point, making those calls when you're quiet, having the stock, then that goes, making the calls, because then that's that business that is never going to be sustainably have momentum, I should say. So discipline will keep the wheels moving, so that's really important. So it's having that system, having that diary, that doesn't matter how busy you are, you're always going to stick to the system. So that's really important. Number 7 is never be satisfied. So always think bigger. And this is one thing that Phil has been so amazing and has taught me and the guys. It's, what we thought was possible in day 1 when I walked in, and then what we thought was possible in year 3, year 5, and we continually keep raising the bar of what is this possibility for what is for us. So, obviously you got to celebrate the wins, but never ever take your foot off the pedal. Never stop reaching for the next goal and pushing for the next kind of bar. So I think that's really possible. Talk about this this idea that when 2 or 3 years ago, it was just me and Callan, maybe Aaron as well. I was sitting down, I was trying to understand how the hell does Tom write 100,000 in a month, and it was just like, how do you list that much and how do you sell that much, and it just didn't add up. Like, I just couldn't understand how you could do it. But we just kept sticking to the system, the calls, looking after people, hustling hard, doing great business, and then all of a sudden, you're writing 100, 150, 200 a month, and it doesn't feel that difficult, as crazy as it sounds, because you've got all the systems in place, you've done the hard work. But it was, the 100,000 was such a big mountain for me to get through. And then it was 2 or 3 years ago when we had the elite teams and we talked about this $2 million mountain, which I think we all thought was a bit crazy at the time. But it's unbelievable with, the help of Phil and Harris with putting great systems in place and just sticking to the plan, how we've, I think we hit 2.3 or something, a bit more last year. And it didn't seem like, let's say it wasn't difficult, but it was just, everything was just in flow, in motion. So, now we're talking about the next mountain. But you've always got to have your mountain. And don't think that, I think there was this idea a few years ago that, if you write $1 million, like, the $1 Million Club, maybe it's not for me. Like it's this, to do that, you have to sacrifice your whole life. But I think Callan's a great example. Henry and Georgie are a great example where you can have an unbelievable business and still have a great balance and lifestyle. So, don't have preconceptions in your mind that, to write $1 million, to write, you have to be Noakesy and have no life. It's very possible with great systems if you just keep to the structure. So, that's really important. So this one's, I'd probably say this is probably the most important one, and certainly one that rings true at the moment to me. So you really do need to know when to switch gears. And I think, to be honest, this is where a lot of people maybe fall down. They get to the point where it is that crossroads. You've had a good run, you're slowing down for whatever reason. You've got kicked in the balls a few times, you've lost some listings. Things are just, everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And then you've got to make that decision. What are you going to do next? So what I've found in real estate is what starts as the pity party and why me and just the blame game. So, but the reality is that's not going to help. The only thing that you can do to get back in momentum is to work harder. So no matter what level you're at in real estate, you're going to have the slopes. Sometimes you're climbing, sometimes you're gliding. But, when you're off track and, everything that can go wrong goes wrong, what you do next will define you. So, I think that right now I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, like I'm watching some of the other guys and they're kicking goals and we're really struggling. What do I do? Do I just sit there and mope? No. Make more calls every day. I need to be more engaged when I'm in an open home. Every call back is like gold. I need to extract as much information as possible. I'll be coming in Sunday making 20, 30 calls because there's absolutely one thing for sure is there's no way I'm going to let myself get out of momentum because, once you're out of momentum, it's very hard to get back to momentum. So you really do need to know when, okay, this is time, we need to switch gears. I need to put another 20, 30% to get back into the momentum. And once you're there, things will start happening again, opportunities come, things are great. But if you take the other option, it can go to shit pretty quickly. So that one's really important. Don't stop doing the small things that have made you successful. And this one I'm a victim of as much as anyone. So, you're successful, you're doing well, you're kicking goals. You stop doing those little tiny 1%ers that got you to that position. You forget that, smiling in an open and, being fully engaged, making people feel important, that speed of follow-up, that SMS after the appraisal, all those tiny 1%ers help you get that piece of business, which led to another piece of business and another piece of business, and then all of a sudden it snowballs and you're kicking ass. So, the small things are the big things. So just never forget what started the momentum and make sure you keep your standards of what your business is very high. So that's really important. And to finish us off, learn from the losses, never stop improving every day and reward yourself. So, I always think, every day someone out there, some punk on the coast is trying to take my momentum. And it's true. There are some fantastic young agents out there working bloody hard to just try to snatch one listing off me and the next listing and the next listing.
So, never stop pushing forward, never stop growing, never stop refining your listing presentation. Because as soon as you get to that complacency, it can go to shit very quickly. So, one thing I'm really big on is trying to just learn from everyone around me. So it doesn't matter if it's a first day in real estate. Sometimes those people are the best because they've got a fresh mind and it's completely, you don't have the preconceptions of real estate. But some of the best tips and learnings I've had are from agents at far different levels than me. So Sammy Bennett had a fantastic one with his letterbox drops, which has got heaps of traction. So ask Sammy about that. But it's things you learn from people around you. Podcasts, I'm constantly obsessive with all the podcasts and the information and listening to things that you listened to 3 years ago and maybe it didn't sink in then, but it's relevant for you today. So never stop improving and growing your mind. Be critical of why you didn't win the business. Never just go, you went with, Owens Castley because, they were out that way or this and that. I am so obsessive about finding out why people didn't choose me. And not because, I need to know what I could have done better next time I was in that exact situation. Because every time you have an opportunity is so important. And that piece of business can lead to so many opportunities. So I want to make sure next time I'm in that position, the small little tips, tricks that I can understand of why someone didn't go for me, or that agent explained, how to present the property better. They said move the couch 3 inches that way. Oh fuck, that's why we lost the business. But sometimes it happens. Frustrating as it is. That agent gave me a great painter. So you constantly think, what value can I add to these people? What things do I need to do? So I constantly have like a library of different things when I go in an appointment, just thinking how much every small part of the presentation I need to add value and make sure I tick it off. Yeah, that, can't lose it on that, can't lose it on that, added value there. So, but it is important to know. So be critical. Immerse yourself in the professional development. Set goals every month that will motivate yourself. I've got a little, in the morning, I do a bit of meditation, and I've got a journal that I kind of write a couple things about the day, a bit of gratitude, what's going to make the day great. But then I've got a goals book, and this has really helped me in the last 5 years. Real estate can be a bit like Groundhog Day, and it can be a bit exhausting. Like, shit, another month, geez, another 10, 15, 20 listings I've got to do, and you can feel like you're on the roller coaster a bit. So you've got to do things to make it fun. You've got to reward yourself, have monthly team or kind of personal goals. So I have, every month I've got 4 critical goals that I have, which is, one's normally I need to list 15 properties. And if I do that, I treat myself to a nice massage. But it drives me because I'm like, if I can hit that 15, I'm going to really enjoy that nice massage at the end of the month. So a couple things, I might want to list 4 auctions, one might be an exercise goal or whatever, but that really drives me because I find 12-month goals, like, it's pretty exhausting. I've got to write $2 million. It's like, oh my God. Whereas if you just break it down into small segments, focus on each day, each week, each month, the ride can be a lot more enjoyable. So that's my 10 learnings for keeping momentum. If there's anything I can do to help you guys, please let me know. And yeah, keep hustling.